Now that Arsenal have got their first signing on the board, it is time to look at other targets. And with the recent news looking like Mikel Merino has a verbal agreement to join Arsenal with the deal ramping up soon, I think it's a good time to talk about how he's going to fit into the team and why, more importantly, it's a better signing than a lot of people are going to give it credit for. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. Now, I certainly think when this transfer rumour came out, a lot of people were a little bit wary about us signing Merino because obviously the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and Frankie de Jong have been linked before, and it is seen as a quite underwhelming signing compared to them sort of players. And I know amongst the majority of Arsenal's fan base it has probably died down a bit and people are very excited about this signing now after doing considerable research and looking into it, but I definitely think there's still a little bit of out and upset by a lot of people that we're not signing the players that they want. But I actually think this is the signing that Arsenal needed to make more than anything, and I think this is going to be much more impactful for the future of Arsenal, not only this season that you will see. Now, Merino is 28 years old. The deal is reportedly around 30 million euros, maybe a little bit more, which works out to around 25 million pounds. So it's not going to be too expensive, probably about the same amount as Smith Rowe is leaving for. And the reason why Arsenal are trying to sign this player is definitely to sort out our midfield dynamics. Now, I think Calafiori playing in left back can also solve them problems with him overlapping and also being that inverted player, being very comfortable on the ball. But Merino is a big physical player at 6'2". He is someone that is going to add that physical level, and we all know that Arteta is quite a conservative manager. Sometimes he loves playing Jorginho and Rice, so you could always play Merino and Rice in a double pivot, and he has high amount of clearances, tackle numbers, but more importantly he has really high aerial ones. He is getting into an incredible amount of aerials per game. It's around 10 or 11, and he is winning around 6 of them, which puts him in the top 1% of European midfielders. And obviously the physical nature is something that Arteta definitely looks for, and it's something we have moved into in the last few years. And while having obviously the physical stature that Arteta likes, more importantly he is literally a central midfielder. That is something I think Arsenal just needed. We needed someone that can just tick the ball over in that midfield, and someone who's more natural to that left-sided position. Obviously Merino is left-footed, and he's going to prefer being on that left side to then Rice, who I think doesn't like it. He likes coming onto his right foot and putting the ball across, which obviously isn't helping the production and the progression to Martinelli on that side. Having Merino, who isn't an amazing passer, doesn't get the ball all the time, but has got a good level of progression. He's definitely a pass heavy over carry guy. He's not going to pick the ball up and run past players. It's something Rice is good at, so you could always have Rice in that role. And he is someone that is just going to tick things along. He'll get into good positions, he'll be strong, he'll win tackles and pass the ball off into the left side, hopefully. And he's a player that has a lot of similarities to someone like Onana, who is obviously linked, where he's got very high defensive numbers, very high aerial ones, very tall in the air, very important from set pieces as well, which obviously is big for us. And Onana is kind of a bit more maybe of a 6 than Merino, but Merino could definitely do either role and interchange of Rice in games where we think it might predominantly help us in certain roles. I also think his passing is slightly better than Onana's, but that could be definitely down to the team he played at and in the positions and formations that he's played in out in Spain. And it's definitely give or take. Onana played in the Premier League, had that little bit of experience, but he nearly cost double the amount of Merino. I know Merino's obviously a lot older at 28, but with 1 year left on his deal, this is definitely a market opportunity or something that Arteta would look at and see as a good deal to be had. For 25 million pounds around then, I really think that's a great bargain that we can get, and Arteta has been looking at him for a few years now. Ultimately, I think Merino is going to contribute quite a decent amount for the money paid for him, and I get it's still weird that he may or may not be a starter, but I do think that midfield we struggled with, and we're still not really sure what's going on with Thomas Partey. But this transfer, I think, has a lot of implications for the team outside of performances on the pitch. A lot of people obviously are going to look at it as it isn't that exciting player that we all wanted, but I think people have kind of not realised the market has been very closed off this year. A lot of teams are struggling to do business with very good players. You have seen a lot of the Man Cities and Liverpools not really go in for anyone right now, and it's because players just cost so much more money right now. Teams are being very much more wary to get rid of players, especially with financial rules, especially in England, and a lot of main targets that you think you could just get, it's going to end up costing your whole summer budget just to get them in. So you see these people overpaying for certain deals and teams just pulling out of them. And if this transfer is to be made, that would have been around £90 million that we have spent this summer. Obviously David Raya counts into that, obviously Calafiori and Merino, and I would say that people aren't going to be exactly happy with that, and we're going to have to make more transfers. I think if we get considerable money, obviously it looks like around 30 million for Smith Rowe. It looks like it could be around 25 to 30 mil for Eddie if that deal ends up happening, and combining that, it's around 60 mil. So we've made 30 mil negative in that transfer system, and I think Arsenal could still reasonably spend another 100 mil if they wanted to. But who are they going to buy is the main important thing. I think people look at this Merino transfer a lot differently if Arsenal were to go out and get a really good winger or an attacking player. Now, I think we should definitely go out and try and buy a winger. I think we should probably try and get rid of Reece Nelson as well, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen still. But we need to be reasonable and look in the market if there's any good options. Now, not every transfer is going to be flawless. There's going to be risks involved, but I don't think it's worth spending 70 to 80 mil on a risk that may or may not make the team actually better until we can wait to next year, and the club will probably be a lot more willing to spend money on someone they know when they have that team. And I think people forget that Arsenal are in a brilliant position. They just came second in the Premier League. We are the second best team in England and got to our quarterfinals of the Champions League in our first year back. This team is not only exciting, but it's also very much close to the top with a very much young core of a squad. So they don't need that many signings to really take them to that next level, and sometimes it's just little things. They lost the league last year obviously by 2 points, and just maybe a few more goals or a few more consistency tactics, you know, a bit more variety in there that Merino and Calafiori bring could be enough to realistically get them to that level. Now, you never want to rely on that though, and you do want to make signings. I understand the frustrations that people want an attacking player. More importantly, I think we need a versatile winger more than a striker, but I can understand why people would want a striker as well. I just don't think in the market right now there's that many good options. It's well and good saying we need these players, but who are they going to be? Are we going to spend 60 mil on Victor Gyökeres? I mean, I don't think it's really worth it. He was good in the Portuguese league, but that's a massive risk I just can't see us making. And Victor Osimhen is someone that you could definitely get, but they still want near around 100 million euros, and he's a very injury prone guy, which I don't even think would help the team overall. And then you've got wingers like Nico Williams and Neto, which always have their own problems, such as financial problems and injury problems with them. So it's going to be interesting to see who we get, and I think that we will make some more signings, but I think they're going to be on the cheaper, more left field shouts than the ones that people are saying, just because I think Arsenal have realised this is not the best market this summer, and I think a lot of big teams in Europe have realised that as well. I think it's fair enough to think that people like Fabian Ruiz may have been a better option, but clearly this is the person that Mikel Arteta liked and he's wanted for a long time more than anyone else, and I think Mikel Arteta has earned our trust, at least with these transfers, to make the right decision. I do think overall this is a very sensible transfer, and I do think it is better than a lot of people will think. I think given the circumstances of the transfer market this year, I don't think there's that many good options, especially in midfield, so I think it is better that we did this than we didn't. And the fact that it is so cheap does give us that slight opportunity to make an attacking signing or even another midfield signing that can be worth a lot of money. I think it depends on sales, and it depends who actually wants to do any business in the market. Teams are very closed off and it's hard to get players, so we're going to have to do a really good job at convincing teams to try and give us their top players and players to come to the club. But what do you guys think? Is it a signing you're excited for? Is it someone that is not as exciting as you were hoping for? Or considering the money, do you think it's a good deal? Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know who you think is a realistic option for Arsenal to go and get if this transfer was to happen in different positions. I want to see what you guys say in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.